Oh, I almost did it again. I had Kelly Joe's face up there and was about to start talking and then remembered you guys would probably want to see me. So hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special Hangout series here on Google Plus, and, in syndication all over the web, I'm sure, as we start posting replays. The title is How to Live in Alignment with the Call of Your Soul. 4 keys to living in your sweet spot. And I'm your host, Carrie Roldan. I'm a wife, a mother, an author, a coach and mompreneur business consultant, a personal growth junkie, and your total business BFF. Now, I host a weekly hangout on air called The Carrie Roldan Show, where my aim is to support mompreneurs in mind, body, and business. And I believe in the mompreneurial dream and want to support others on their journey. And that's why I've created a Google Plus community called, what else, Business Besties, for mompreneurs and those with a heart or business for serving mompreneurs. So we can totally be each other's business BFFs. So to join, simply search for Business Besties in Google Plus, or you can use the link in my lower third, which is actually showing up today. So that's good. And it's a funky link, so it's like goog.gul 6K. I'm always looking at it backwards, so I can't tell if it's a B or a D, but OIJ. All right. So how do we do it? How do we live in alignment with the call of our soul? This question has been my driving force for several years and is actually what led me to write my first book. It has led me to many an expert. But since I support mompreneurs in body, mind, and business, I've decided to interview a panel of intuitive female experts in body, mind, business, and, as a sweet bonus, parenting. Because seriously, how badly do you wish you could stay in the parenting sweet spot? So let's get right in for today's topic, which is, well, we'll get going. So let's just do it. Let's get down and dirty. So do you suffer from I'll be happy when syndrome? I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds, when I double my income, when I find the perfect mate. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll finally be happy when I have kids or when I can get my kids to behave. I'll be happy when I have enough clients. I'll be happy when I pay off all my debt. I'll be happy if I could just get this house cleaned up. Oh, or this is my favorite. I'll be happy when I can finally achieve work-life balance. And while we're on this subject, what is happiness really? We have an intuitive knowing that happiness is not the things I've just mentioned. We too often believe I'll be happy when list. We believe that if we can achieve those things, then we'll get happiness. Happiness will come to us, but it won't. So are we nuts? Why do we keep chasing these things if we already know, we have an intuitive knowing that none of them really are the key to happiness? And I hear this conversation all the time. And I believe that it is because these things that I've just mentioned, right, the losing the 10 pounds, the clean house, the life business balance, they seduce us into believing that they hold the key. That elusive feeling that we're all searching for, the sweet spot where we are on purpose, in our groove, and in complete alignment with the call of our soul. When we can find and sustain that alignment, miracles occur in our life, our business, our families, our health, and our relationships. So that's why I brought Kelly Jo Murphy on the show today. For those of you who watched the Carrie Roldan Show, you might remember Kelly and I had a very technically challenging episode about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But she said this phrase, and it just got me thinking I absolutely need to bring her back for this episode, which is each of us has one thread, right? A thread inside of us, and it can translate into numerous things. And when you're coming from that one place, everything doesn't have to happen at once, which I think is funny with the whole one and once. But it is that one place that I really want to explore this week with Kelly Jo. So for those of you who don't know her, Kelly Jo helps people come from this one place and find their one thing and become the go-to expert at it. She helps expert become known, but more importantly, to me anyway, she helps them create a life where they're living in alignment with the call of their soul, where they're using their gifts, talents, abilities, and passions to serve the world. And that seems pretty sweet to me. So that was a really long introduction for you, Kelly Jo, and we have a really exciting and interesting topic, I think. So let's just get started. I'll pull you on screen and you can say hello.
Wonderful. Hi, Carrie. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So let's get to it, Kelly Jo. And I'm sorry I'm looking away because I'm trying to look at two screens at once. But let's just jump right in, right, to the how do you do it, right? How do you live in alignment with the call of your soul? So this is from a personal standpoint. I know you're a coach. You help business owners, and you are often a coach's coach. You're helping other coaches. But how do you do it? How did you find that was your one thing, and how do you keep yourself there?
Right, exactly. So I'm going to take it like one step before how do you find it, because you have to know what you're putting in its place that you need to get rid of so that you can find it, right? So the thing is, it's already there. It's already there. But there's other stuff that's in its way, and you have to let them go so that you can then feel what that thing that is within you, that thread within you. So what I was thinking about as we were talking about like what we were going to talk about is that the one thing, when I speak of the one thing, because a lot of marketers out there that help people talk about do your one thing. Well, to me, it's not about doing your one thing. It's about being your one thing. Because then when you have that being, and you're staying true to it within yourself, that's when you know it doesn't matter then what you do. You're staying true to the beingness of what that one thing is. And how I figured it out within myself is I always knew what it was. You know deep inside what that one being thing is inside you. But it's about honoring it. And when you get to the place where you're just kind of sick and tired of not honoring it anymore, living in alignment with your soul is finally saying to yourself, hey, I'm worth it. I'm worth listening to who I am, and then living from that place and just standing in it and owning it and then being it. And then from there, then it's easier to make decisions on what you're going to do next, because then all of your decision making is coming from the one place within yourself. So after numerous years of coaching and doing businesses and so forth, I just really wasn't being that successful at it. And I'm like, why? Why am I not being successful at it? I've had other businesses with my husband. We were fine, successful. We were doing great. Why wasn't this one really taking off? And it really was when I just got sick of it, in essence, and looked at what was the difference. And the difference was my own business. I wasn't honoring who I was in it. Then I just said, well, then screw it. I'm doing it. I just have to go in that direction. I'm tired of this, and I'm just gonna just be myself and just go for it, right? That was when I started to really honor that place within myself, so that then all of my decisions just flowed. Everything started flowing. It wasn't hard anymore. It was becoming more fun, and there was more ease around it. It was like, really? This is what it's like? And I was like, okay, yes, I like this. This is good. I can do this more. Yes, it's a little scary. You're stepping outside of your comfort zone, just that little bit. But then when you're letting it happen more and more, you're finding that you become the place that, like you were saying, earlier in your introduction, there's no I'll be happy when anymore, because now you found it within yourself, and you don't have to look outside of yourself for those things to be happy. And it's the same thing in your business. You don't have to look outside of yourself for the answers. All of your answers are already, within yourself. And then when I found that within myself, then my business just started skyrocketing.
Okay, so Kelly Jo, first of all, I need to warn everybody. It's a holiday and my kids are off of school. So they've been in and out, and I'm being mommied right now by this little person right here. So Chase, say hello to the world. And yes, you can watch something in Mommy's room while I finish this, okay? We're not going to do it here. So speaking of honoring the call of your soul, you touched on something that I really want to talk about, and that you and I had talked about before the show. Oh my gosh, there's whining in the background. So we were talking about, I promise I'll come back around, but you and I were talking about what the 4 keys are. The 4, right? It's in my show title.
Yeah.
The 4 keys. And I sort of figure that the 4 keys to living in the call of your soul are hearing it and listening to it, which I think are different. So one is to hear the call of your soul. Then the second thing I think is to listen to the call of your soul. The third would be acting on it. And you talked about that in stepping out of your comfort zone. Okay, baby, I'm going to mute myself in just a second, and then I'll be able to talk to you. And then the last thing is how to live from it. And I think you talked about what I think there's something missing for me in your explanation, at least sitting from if I don't know you, right, and I don't know your journey, which is the disconnect between hearing the call of your soul, and also maybe what technique you used to hear the call of your soul, and then listening to it, the difference between hearing and listening to it. So I'm going to mute myself while I handle my 4-year-old for a second and let you answer that.
Perfect. That's just fine, Carrie. So, yeah, I would definitely, and what's so interesting about the 4 steps, as you mentioned them, is that they're so intertwined. You know, it's almost hard to separate them. You know, we can talk about them in that way so that it kind of makes a more conscious understanding when we do them, but they all kind of happen at the same time, and they almost need to in order for it all to work together. So to me, hearing it is something that is just that niggling feeling, you know, that's in you, that's just saying to you there's something more, there's something else that is you that's missing in what you're doing. And that's all that really is. It's just this niggle. You know, there isn't anything actually beyond that, because then when you go to the second step and it's about listening, that's when you start to say to yourself, you know, I hear this niggling, and I'm going to actually stop and listen to what that niggling is actually trying to say to me. That's, I think, where the listening part comes in. And what stopping is all the busyness of trying to find what's going to help you be happy. What's, you know, stopping for a minute and just taking that breath and really just saying to yourself, okay, what are you saying to me? Tell me what it is. But you have to be quiet within yourself so that your ears are open, your heart is open to be able to actually hear, you know, what it really is trying to tell you. You know, and then the acting is that it is, what's interesting about the acting is yeah, you stop and you listen. But just like you were talking, you know, earlier to me about, is that then the busyness of life, then just, you know, your little girl comes up and boom, there, everything is happening. And, you know, it's a lot harder sometimes than to act on it because we have all these outside things happening. You know, obviously part of being a mompreneur, you know, I have 4 kids myself. I've been an entrepreneur for years, with my kids all around in the same kind of way, is that you find that center place within yourself, and when you find it, it's so much easier to deal with the kinds of things when your 4-year-old comes up, you know, and just wants her mommy in that moment and doesn't really understand what the heck you're doing, right? You know, she just knows she wants her mommy. And then when you can come from that place, you can be a better mommy in that moment, but you can also be showing everybody here on the screen how you're listening to yourself in how you go about doing it. You're honoring yourself, you're honoring her, and you're honoring us. And to me, that's what acting upon it is. I call it honoring, because then you really are taking it from this deeper place and allowing it to come out in your actions. And then living is really, I'll just say this, then living is all of that combined, and it just becomes how you go about doing everything that you do, how you make decisions about things, how you make a decision of what you're going to do with your daughter in that next moment, and what decision you're going to make on what you're going to do in your business. And then you're just living from it, and then the results just show up from that place.
So I have to I have to say thank you for sharing that, and because I was once on a business training, and it was a planned call. It was part of a bigger program that I had paid for. I'm sorry, hold on one second. Hey, will you help her with the TV? She's having trouble. So just help her. And this is my number 2 child in the background. But I remember that at some point she was in the middle of a business training, and she stopped and she said, "You guys, I'm really sorry. My little girl is crying, and I need to go take care of her and see what." She did what I did today, right? It's like, "Okay, you guys, I just need a half hour. Everybody hears your stuff, and keep yourselves busy. I promise I'll be right there." But you're right. Sometimes things come up. But it was making noise now. It was in that moment where she said, "Hold on, I need to take care of my daughter." And I don't know how she felt on the inside, if there was any sort of worry about that. But for me, that's when I felt connected to her. That's when I felt like, okay. And also, if this woman can do it, whose program I just spent a lot of money to be a part of, and who I saw as like super professional and successful, and somehow those people don't have problems or crying children, then if she could do it, then oh my gosh, if she can be genuine, if she can be authentic, if she can be vulnerable, and live from that place in every moment of her business, even on a call where she had like 100 of us on the line who had spent quite a bit of money to be there. If she could do that, it gave me permission to do that, which was pretty darn cool. But you also said something that I want to talk about, and please forgive me, I'm sure in replay there's a movie on in the background. I don't know if you can hear it, but in replay I'll probably get more out of that, because I was trying to figure out how to help Sweet Chase. But you talked about, or I was thinking about the living from it, and how hard it is, or there's still sometimes a disconnect, right? Like for me, feeling the call of my soul, I felt it for a long time, and the way that I talked about it was say, I feel like I'm busting at the seams with potential. Like I knew that there was something inside of me, and I could feel like if there were seams on the side of my body, I could feel it wanting to get out of me, but I couldn't put a name on it. And the reason I couldn't put a name on it really was that probably because it was so close to who I really am, that I was looking for something big or different out there. I was looking for something else to like pull in and say, oh, okay. And this is going to probably lead right into what you're currently doing, Kelly Jo, but I wound up wasting a lot of time trying to fit myself into somebody else's mold, or think I knew I had something awesome, right? I had something of value to offer the world, but I almost couldn't articulate what that was. And I was a coach, and I knew I could help other people. I had, clients and friends saying, "Oh my gosh, you helped me so much." But I had the hardest time, I guess, narrowing down my one thing, and so that goes back to the listening to it, right? I could hear it. I would get like a glimpse of what I thought it was, like, okay, but then I would go, well, maybe I'm this coach, and then I would get distracted by somebody else's marketing plan. Or okay, is my one thing, is it Google Hangouts? Is it that I wrote a whole book called Run Yourself Happy that was my one thing at the moment, but I didn't yet at that moment understand the thread that goes through it. So now that I've rambled, for a while now. I'm just going to hand it back over to you so that you can maybe talk about that. Talk about what the heck I had going on.
No, absolutely. No, that's great. So remember when I said that there's a difference between your thread being a doing and your thread being a being? And so a lot of the things you just mentioned were the doing things, not the being things. And when you find that being thing, then all of the doing things then just fall right into place. So this is how I figured it out, and this is also how I help my clients figure it out, is that I find for myself, I found that one thing that was busting at the seams in my beingness of things. And now what I do is everything that I do in my business and my life, I focus on that beingness. And when I focus on that beingness, then it's easy to see what the doing is to do next. So for me, my beingness is about dancing. And because it's about dancing, I dance when I do this, and I dance when I do that. And I let myself dance when I do this, and I dance when I do that. And so now all of the things that I am doing in my business have the thread of my being with that in it. So like you had mentioned, I do have a teleclass that's coming up, which is called the Shiny Object Syndrome Cure. And in the teleclass, I have what's called a Muse Money Map. And this Muse Money Map is the place that we're going to be creating and coming up and figuring out what that beingness is for each of us. It's what I call our muse. Now, internally, it's more of a being, right? But the muse is how we then express it into the things we do. And I have an acronym for muse. It's called My Unique Soul Expression. And if you put it together, it's muse. And when we take that and then we start expressing it in the different things that we're doing in our lives, then we know then that's when it's all in alignment. So that Muse Money Map will be the thing, will help to help the people who are on the call be able to really know what that thread is of their being and get in touch with it more and honor it so that they can then express it in the different parts of their business. So there's how I do it.
So, okay, so this is hilarious because I know that about you. I know Kelly Jo has a Facebook group called the Happy Dance Project, and I'm a part of the Happy Dancing. And Kelly Jo was part of my very first Run Yourself Happy system, because running is my thing. So that's where I hear the call of my soul. That is where and I can go out on a run and come back with clarity. But it has taken me a long time, and I absolutely, I am so excited for you, your teleclass, because I recognize money is my muse. But of course, I mean, the reason I do anything here on Google+, the reason I have the Carrie Rolled On show, the reason that I am running this Hangout series is because I believe that you teach what you most need to learn. And so, I mean, I guess I've positioned myself as a teacher here, but the way I teach is through my journey. The way I teach is through my authenticity. The way I teach is through my vulnerability, which I have now recognized, Kelly Jo, that those things, those are my one thing. That's my thread, right, is being authentically who I am and transparent and vulnerable in my journey. And as I do that one thing, right, that's the call of my soul, is constantly saying, yeah, you have to share this. And sometimes it says write a book, and sometimes it says start a Hangout series. But if I don't get really grounded, right, get really in the being place of it, it is so easy to get distracted by shiny objects, to get distracted by really good marketing, to think, okay, I want to be authentic and vulnerable and transparent. and the Oprah of Google Hangouts, right? And make a gajillion dollars and serve the world in the big way and think, and let go of my center, right? Or like rip up my roots and go, I think I need to chase that person's program because their marketing is telling me that that's what I need. So I'm very excited about your Muse Money map because I've actually never walked through that system, and I'm getting a sense of total I'm just getting like this peacefulness and grounding from your energy and talking about it and hearing about it and knowing, yeah, I'm excited to be on that call and go through that process and gain even more clarity. So I'm going to let you talk in just a second, but what I wanted to say is I have posted Kelly Jo's link in the comment section. If you're watching on YouTube, though, as soon as I put Kelly Jo on the screen again, you'll be able to see it. It's a funky link to the teleclass because it was a really long link, so we made it a short link. So it's like one of those funky goo.gl links. And so I'll put Kelly Jo's face on the screen right now so that you can see it. And then we have, like, I don't know, 4 minutes left, Kelly Jo. In that time, you maybe have already answered it because I had 2 questions I wanted to ask you, which is, 1, how do you do it? How do you get to your one thing, which I think you've done a pretty good job of explaining. And 2, how do you help people do it, which I think you kind of already started to explain, but I'm going to turn it over to you, put your face on the screen, and give you some.
I think you muted yourself right at the end. I was like, okay. That's okay. I have to get used to your little muting button here. Anyway, yeah, so, how we do it really is, it's just a matter of, taking that time to clear yourself, be centered, like you said, and to just really go within and listen. And when you're listening at that type of deep level, you talk to it, you have a conversation, you have a relationship with it, and as you have that going on and you build that within yourself, it's so much easier for you to have a more tangible kind of a feel to what that is. And when you know what that tangible feel is, it's so much easier to grasp it in those moments that you're feeling pulled off in different directions, or feeling scattered or confused, or any of those kinds of things in any part of your life, not just your business. And especially your motherhood, because being a mom of 4, I homeschool them as well, so I'm with them a lot. That's a big thing that goes on in my life with everything. And you've got to stay centered if you're going to be a good mom and want to be a good mom for them as well. So when you find that, that's why I call it your muse, because then it gives it a more tangible feel to what that is, because beingness is not tangible, but as a human, we need that little bit more of a tangible feel to it so that we can, in those moments we need it, that we're feeling it, that we can just have something that reminds us about what that muse is really wanting us to be. So we can take that deep breath and go right back to the center of what that muse is for us, and then it's much easier to take action, from that place when we can bring ourselves back to that center. So come on to the teleclass. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I like to have fun on my teleclasses and go through this process together for your business. And yeah, come on and join the party.
Okay, Kelly Jo, I'm leaving you on the screen so people can take a look at your link. So it is goo.goal/APDZE8. So there that is. And I am put myself on the screen now. Just want to say thank you. Thank you for that. The word that we haven't used, which is sort of funny because this is what I thought this whole thing was going to be about, is intuition. But I love that you're calling it a muse, and I think it is, that helps so much. And it's funny because that's one of the practices that is actually, so I have a book coming out November 18th that I'm really excited about, and I hope that you will all join me in buying, but it's called Run Yourself Happy. And one of the techniques in that book is actually I call it a conversation with God, but it's about having the conversation, asking the questions, and listening to because the answers do come. So where the answers are coming from in your body, and kind of how to distinguish when it is just your mind chatter and your personality talking, and when it's your muse talking, right? When it's your intuition, when it's the call of your soul, when it is divine guidance. And so it's just fantastic that you said talk to it. I immediately was like, I do talk to it, as it turns out. So everybody, we have reached our time limit. It is 11 o'clock Pacific time here, and I just want to thank you all for being here, especially the few of you who were here live. I want to please ask you to share this conversation and this Hangout series, because I really do think it is what all of us want at our core, right? We're looking for happiness, we're looking for success, we're looking, whatever name we want to give to it, what we really are looking for is what Kelly Jo's talking about, is living from your sweet spot, right? Living in alignment with the call of your soul, being completely okay and amazing and wonderful at being who and what you are designed to be. And if you have shiny object syndrome, which a lot of coaches, authors, and speakers do, but so do a lot of mompreneurs. I think those of us who are mompreneurs, we really, we didn't even talk about the mommy wars or about just the feelings of inadequacy that can be brought up in us just from having children. I truly believe that we are not here to parent them, but they're here to parent us. And so just all of that, I just want to say, check out Kelly Jo's Shiny Object Syndrome Cure teleclass. We didn't give the date, Kelly Jo, so I'm putting you back on real quick.
Okay, so the date is next Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, and all the details are on that page when you go and check it out. Thank you.
So I was talking and not unmuted. So let's all do that, and let's all make a commitment, like, let's be there together, because can you not feel Kelly Jo's, like, grounding, purposeful, calm, like, guru energy? So let's all be there and walk ourselves through the Muse Money Map and find my unique soul expression, so that then we can go out and live it in our lives. So thank you guys all for being here, and join me on Thursday, where I have intuitive money expert Cynthia Carrere on talking about this exact same subject, right? How to live in alignment with the call of your soul and going through those 4 keys. So I hope you will join Cindy and I hope that you will sign up for Kelly Jo's teleclass. Thank you guys all so much for being here. So here is your great big virtual hug. Have a fabulous Veterans Day. Go out and hug a veteran. Tell them thank you. And I will see you guys all on Thursday. So talk to you then. Bye-bye.